So in this segment, we'll be talking about the first two tasks that you'll be covering to perform your own bare metal operating system rebuild. And at the end of the third module, the third part, you'll have a chance to decide whether or not you actually want to pull the trigger and do it. And I would recommend, if you've never had a chance to actually go through with it, that you would finish it for additional credit. So what are we saying? We're saying that we're going to walk through all of the steps that it takes to set the stage and to prepare and actually wipe the hard disk to bare metal. But just short of doing that, we're going to stop and give you the option to cancel out of that and roll back. If you're interested in following the rest of the way, you can experience what a bare metal wipe is like for additional credit. So our first task, I think what I need to do is break this down into task one, right? And task two. Logistics and planning. So as you're preparing for a bare metal operating system rebuild, you're going to assess how much disk space you have. Now, you can do this with the USB itself. And the first step is not as obvious. First, inventory system data stores. And we're talking about user profiles, application data, so you'll notice that there's a relationship here between task one and task two. It's a little counterintuitive, but in order for this process to make logical sense, when you're ready to do task two, you've already had to take a look at how much you have available in terms of free space, and then you have to take a look at how much data needs to be stored when you look at the user profile and application data. So what do I mean by user profile? In each C drive, there's a users folder. And typically there's a default and a public. If you do not see the default folder, you need to select view option and then the hidden items feature along with the file name extensions feature, just so that you can see the data files and directories. So the primary user or first user that was created has a name that's often abbreviated if it's a third-party account. So my account is named T. Christian Kentop. And when I was setting up the first system account on this brand new machine, when I was walking through the out-of-box experience wizard, it created a TC Ken folder. And if I would create other users for login on here, you'd see other folders as well. The important thing is to right-click this thing and go to Properties, and then see how many gigabytes of drive space. Now, one nasty thing that happens, you can see this is a pretty large user profile, but the size on the disk is actually 79.9 gigabytes. If you don't display the hidden items, there are some directories that won't show when you try to inventory the contents of a user directory. Well, what am I saying? If you go inside here, there are some grayed out directories like app data that can store quite a bit of data. And if it's hidden and you're trying to figure out, okay, how much space do I really need? You can put an awful lot of information in a folder, and if it's hidden, and then you hold your mouse pointer over it, or you try to figure out how much is stored inside, that the hidden directories and hidden files are not always included with that summary, right? So why does that matter? Well, there's some critical information inside the app data folder, but then you'll also see there's quite a bit in videos, there's quite a bit in pictures, there's quite a bit in music, and so what you need to make sure of is that all of your hidden stuff is showing with that option. Are there any questions about displaying the hidden folders?
No.
First, check File Explorer settings so that hidden is enabled. Then inventory. And this is something that's a huge frustration for people who are rebuilding a system. So, you know, they look in there and they say, okay, I've got my music, my pictures, my desktop, the videos, all the things that are obvious, and they drag them onto something. How do I get so much in here? Well, inside the app data folder, inside local, inside Microsoft, inside Outlook, there can be very large email files. This is where they hide. And when you open up Outlook, you have the option to export the data from that mailbox as a separate storage, and that's actually a good thing to do, because then you have an extra copy of all your email and your calendars and so on. And we'll show you how to do that when we get to task 2. So we'll minimize that for now. The point is that there's synchronized or offline data or cached data inside the app data folder. So in general, it might be a good idea to select the computer name itself, and then check to make sure that hidden items is enabled for the entire computer. And when we say assess how much storage is available, one obvious thing is the install media itself. So I have a USB drive that I've set up. And if I plug this in, you can see that you can see from the screen that I have a 32 gig thumb drive in here, and the 32 gig thumb drive basically has 24 gigs of space available, but the install media is 29.4 gigs. So one option when I'm moving my data to a newly wiped system, if I don't have a whole lot, I can set up a backup folder inside here. I could call it anything I want, my data, and then I could use that to store some of the information I need to port across. You wouldn't want to fill the USB completely, but depending on the size of your thumb drive, that may be enough, right? So if your user profile is 20 gigs large, and yeah, you're not capturing a lot of video, and you're not an instructor, and you don't have 25 years of stuff on your system, then chances are pretty good that inside the install media itself, you can park this. Now, we told you in our last class that one good thing to include in your USB thumb drive are any of the recent updates from the Microsoft Update Catalog. So that's another extra directory you can add in here. And when you do that and load your Windows 11 install, and it starts to say, hey, I need to do a lot of updates, you can have the updates in a compressed form already ready to go inside an updates folder. So I'm going to create an updates folder. And if I have ample time to do it, I'll go to my downloads. We did talk about the Microsoft Update Catalog, right? In a previous session, I think.
Yeah, I think last week.
Yeah.
Right.
So if I go in here and I paste these in here, are we sure we want to copy this file without its properties? Yes. So that's less time and less delay after I wipe my machine. And that's the other part of this that is a negative experience for many users. They have a certain version of Windows 11 or Windows 10, and then as soon as they finish reloading, well, it takes them, many hours or days to go ahead and just finish loading the updates. And this is one quicker way to do it, because all you really have to do is double click each one of these. And this is an update that would not load on my system. And it wouldn't load on my system because there was something wrong with it. So if I wipe the slate clean and now I have this, I can load from scratch, and it takes a tenth of the time, right? So that's another helpful tip when it comes to staging your data and your updates using your storage media. For many people, that's not enough. And each of you now have a USB thumb drive, correct?
Yep.
So each of you have purchased a USB 3.0 thumb drive, and now you have something to work with, and you finished the 2.1 assignment, correct? Everybody's finished the 2.1 assignment?
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't gotten around to it. Been in the hospital with Pops for the past couple of days.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you'll want to make sure that you have it ready by Friday.
I'll make sure I do.
Yeah, because the rest of what we demonstrate on Friday will come next. Now, I wanted to show this to you. This is a pretty cool.
I actually, sorry for the thing. I actually do have, I got my jump drive and I did have my thing installed, but I think just like for the past 2 days, I don't know what's been going on with broadband, but broadband been going in and out. So like the download we get to like what 40%, like 40, 50%, and then and then Wi-Fi would just go and I'd have to just wait until they come back again
Uh-huh.
to finish it. Like I
Have
think
you,
I
have
currently
you,
have it.
have you
Yeah, I
tried it
think I
on
have it.
campus?
No, I actually had my car was in the shop getting repaired since yesterday. I actually just got it back.
Uh-huh.
So I actually have the download going in the background right here right now. So I say
Okay.
if I hope that Wi-Fi power, like I hope internet doesn't go and it finishes now.
Uh-huh.
But I have it in the background. It's at like 70% right now. So
Well, that's good. Let's hope let's hope it clears. So I'm going to go ahead and hold an adapter up to you. And I just wanted to show you this is really a cool tool to have, and it's indispensable when it comes to um, bare metal rebuilds. So let's pretend that our install USB drive really doesn't have enough space to do the job for what we want. And one scenario that could be the case is that when I go into my documents, right, if I go and look at my documents inside the C drive here and inside users and inside here, can everybody see where it says videos?
Yes.
Okay. But inside documents is another folder for Zoom. So every time I record a class, there's additional stuff in here. And so this is what we mean by application data. When you're taking stock or inventory of your applications, this is a video editing application. This has to do with audio, right? And each of these separate applications will often store data in the documents folder, or they'll store it in the C drive, like the stuff that I do with my scanner and my printer, it's stored in a separate directory. So that's why a little bit of quality time to work through here, to walk through the directories in the C drive, and then in the user profile, inside the hidden app data folder, inside documents, right? You'll find these extra little caches of data. When I convert my Zoom recording into a video, it's then stored normally inside the video folder. So you have this fluid scenario where you have to take the time to find the containers where most of your relevant information is stored. On my desktop, I have a variety of, you might be one of those that's a pack rat and you have all sorts of information on your desktop. So let me show you this. When you find, everybody see this cable right here? I'll stop sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a USB on one side, 3.0. This costs 30 bucks. The brand is Starlink, but on the other side is a SATA connector. And so what I can do is go to any electronics or office store. And in this case, I have a Kingston or a Crucial solid state hard drive, 500 gigs, right? Or a terabyte. And I just put this end on just snap that end on and then find a suitable USB to plug it in. And then away we go. Let me stop my video here and I'll plug this into my USB port. You'll be able to see in just a second. That works every bit as well as a USB thumb drive. But in this case, you'll see right now, whoops, let me share my screen. In this case, you'll see that, well, I have nearly 400 gigs of empty space, right? And I've named the disk T for, just, that's a shorthand for transfer, or just spell the word out, transfer. It's really helpful to take a spare solid state drive and label it something like transfer or TFER, because it's going to pop up differently, and you won't have any confusion over, okay, which drive letter, which disk do I have my backup data, my transfer data. So you're transferring the contents of user profiles and application stores into either your install media or a separate and appropriate disk. And that usually takes anywhere between an hour to 2 or 3 hours, depending on how much stuff you have and how bad your hard drive is it's fragmented. So are there any questions about this part of it? Pretty self-explanatory, right?
So far, yeah.